Ladies and gentlemen, most people are so busy telling the world what they're going to do that they never get around to doing it. See, real power is not in announcing. Real power is in building. The seed doesn't shout while it's underground. It grows in silence. It takes root in darkness. But when the season is right, the harvest shows up in public, undeniable. That's how your dreams work. You don't need to broadcast every move, every plan, every idea, because the more you talk, the more you leak. And the more you leak, the less you build. Most people are so busy telling the world what they're going to do that they never get around to doing it. They talk about the business they're about to start, the book they're about to write, the investment they're about to make, the discipline they're about to practice. But here's the truth: the world doesn't respond to announcements. The world responds to results. Talking about your plans might give you a temporary feeling of accomplishment, but it robs you of the energy and focus you need to actually bring those plans into existence. If you want to win in public, you've got to learn how to focus in silence. When you plant a seed, it doesn't make noise underground. It doesn't stand on a platform and announce, "I'm about to be a tree." It grows in the dark, beneath the surface, unseen by everyone else. But while no one is watching, the roots are spreading, the strength is forming. And something powerful is happening in silence. That seed doesn't need applause to grow. It doesn't need validation to break through the soil. All it needs is the right environment, the right nourishment, and the right time. Then one day, it breaks through the ground and reveals itself undeniable. That's how your dream works. Silence is not weakness. Silence is protection. Too many people lose their destiny in the early stages because they expose it to the wrong voices. You don't tell an idea to everybody because not everybody has the faith to see what you see. Some people can only see where you are, not where you're going. If you keep explaining your vision to people who don't have vision, you'll talk yourself out of your assignment. Every moment you spend defending your dream to doubters is a moment you lose from building it. That's why silence is your shield. Protect your vision until it's strong enough to withstand criticism. And here's the reality: talking leaks energy. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the less energy you have left to actually do it. That's why so many people end up with empty words and no fruit. You can either spend your time impressing people with stories about your future, or you can impress them with the results when your future becomes your present. If you want to win in public, you've got to conserve your energy in private. Greatness is born in hidden places. Preparation is the underground work nobody claps for. It's the late nights studying when everyone else is asleep. It's the early mornings practicing when nobody's watching. It's the discipline, the sacrifice, the consistency when there's no applause. That's the part that makes the harvest possible. A farmer doesn't get paid for planting. He gets paid when the crop comes up. But without that hidden season of labor, the public season of reward will never come. Results always speak louder than words. You don't have to brag when the evidence is standing in front of people. You don't have to convince them when your fruit is undeniable. People may ignore your words, but they cannot ignore your results. Success silences critics in ways no argument ever could. It takes you from explanation to demonstration. And once you step into demonstration, there's no debate. The ones who win are not the ones who broadcast every move, but the ones who discipline themselves in silence. Winners don't waste time seeking approval. They don't waste energy announcing plans. They master their craft. They build their foundation. They sharpen their skills. While others are performing for attention, they are preparing for destiny. That preparation may not look glamorous, but it produces a life that is undeniable. There is also a timing element. Every harvest has its season. The problem with many people is they're so busy trying to be seen that they expose themselves before they're ready. When you expose yourself too early, you become vulnerable to doubt, fear, and unnecessary pressure. But when you stay focused in silence, when you keep doing the work without needing the spotlight, you allow the right time to reveal you. When the time is right, the opportunity will meet your preparation. You won't have to chase it, you won't have to force it, and you won't have to beg for it. The doors will open, and the fruit of your hidden season will announce itself. Talking leaks energy. Every time you announce what you're going to do, you experience a small rush, a false sense of accomplishment, as if the work is already done. But the work hasn't even started. The danger is that the more you talk about it, the more you drain the fuel that was designed for action. You cannot afford to spend your energy explaining, convincing, and defending when that energy was given to you for building, executing, and creating. The most powerful people are not the loudest, they are the most focused. Think about this: when a runner is training for the Olympics, they don't spend all day talking about their workouts. They spend their time training, sweating, preparing, repeating, and mastering the craft. The talking comes later when they stand on the podium with a medal around their neck. The medal is the announcement. The trophy is the statement. The applause is the proof. Until then, the only conversation is between them and their discipline. That's what separates those who perform for attention from those who prepare for destiny. The mind has a limited amount of creative energy each day. If you burn it on telling people how you're about to change, how you're about to launch something big, how you're about to reinvent your life, then you leave yourself too drained to actually do it. That's why so many people stay stuck in cycles of almost. They almost started the business. They almost finished the book. They almost got in shape, but almost never pays. Almost doesn't change anything. Only results change things. And results don't come from speaking. Results come from executing. If you truly want to win in public, you've got to embrace the discipline of silence. Silence doesn't mean inactivity. Silence means activity without broadcast. Silence means moving forward without announcing every step. Silence means directing your energy into the work instead of dispersing it through words. When you stop talking so much about what you're going to do, you give yourself the chance to actually do it. Every dream requires fuel, and the fuel is focus. Focus is not just doing the right things, it's also refusing to waste your energy on the wrong things. You don't have time to explain your vision to every skeptic. You don't have time to persuade people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have time to convince someone who doesn't want to see what you see. Every word you waste on someone who doubts you is a word that could have been invested in your own progress. Talking leaks energy, but silence stores it. Silence multiplies it. Silence channels it into the work that produces the fruit. When you hold back the words and pour yourself into the action, something begins to shift inside you. Your confidence no longer comes from how good your explanation sounds, but from how strong your progress feels. You start to measure yourself not by how many people believe you, but by how much you've built when nobody was looking. That's when you become dangerous, not because you talk a big game, but because you live one. And here's the beauty of it. When the results show up, they don't just validate your effort. They silence the noise. Results become your defense. Results become your proof. Results become your voice. People may ignore your words, but they cannot ignore your fruit. They may doubt your promises, but they cannot deny your progress. That's why the best strategy is to let your work speak. You don't have to argue with evidence, and you don't have to defend demonstration. The people who waste their time talking about what they're going to do end up exhausted before the race begins. The people who use their time to prepare, to execute, to build, to refine, they are the ones who cross the finish line. Talking feels easy in the moment, but it creates disappointment later. Silence feels hard in the moment, but it creates power later. One drains you, the other builds you. One flatters your ego, the other fuels your destiny. One gives you the illusion of movement, the other gives you the reality of transformation. When a seed is planted, nobody gathers around to cheer. Nobody applauds the soil. Nobody celebrates the hidden work happening underground. Yet that unseen process is the most important part of growth. Before the sprout breaks through the surface, the seed is developing roots, securing its foundation, drawing strength from the unseen environment. Without that stage, there would never be fruit in the open. Your preparation is just like that. The time you spend in obscurity, in quiet effort, in relentless repetition without recognition is the season where your roots are being established. If you skip that stage because you are eager to be seen, you end up with shallow roots and weak fruit. Greatness is not formed in the spotlight. It is formed in the shadows. The spotlight only reveals what the shadows have been building. Every champion you see, every master you admire, every leader who seems unstoppable went through years of hidden work before anyone knew their name. They didn't win because of the applause. They won because of the discipline nobody clapped for. They mastered their craft in silence. They made sacrifices nobody noticed. They showed up day after day, investing effort in places that produced no immediate reward. That hidden labor is the price of public reward. Preparation is not glamorous, and that's why most people avoid it. It's easy to talk about goals, but it's hard to practice daily disciplines. It's easy to post your plans, but it's hard to wake up early, stay up late, and do the quiet work that nobody else will see. But the truth is, preparation is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, desire is just fantasy. With it, desire becomes destiny. When a farmer plants a field, he doesn't expect a harvest tomorrow. He doesn't dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing. He understands that unseen growth is still growth. He trusts the process even when nothing is visible. That's the mindset you must develop. You cannot allow the absence of visible progress to convince you that nothing is happening. The roots are forming, the foundation is strengthening, and the unseen is preparing to become the seen. That underground season is the refining season. It's where you develop the habits, the resilience, the mindset that will sustain you when the spotlight comes. If you skip the hidden stage, the spotlight will crush you. Too many people want exposure without preparation. And when they get it, they collapse under the weight because their roots were not deep enough. But when you've been faithful in silence, the spotlight becomes confirmation, not destruction. You have to fall in love with practice more than performance. You have to value discipline more than recognition. You have to understand that the secret to being unstoppable in public is being unshakable in private. The hours you put in when nobody's watching, the discipline you maintain when nobody's applauding, those are the very things that create the kind of results that cannot be denied. The hidden stage also teaches you to depend less on approval and more on consistency. When nobody is clapping, you learn to clap for yourself. When nobody validates you, you learn that your worth is not tied to applause. That inner confidence becomes unshakable because it's not built on opinions, it's built on work. And when the fruit finally shows up, you don't need to brag about it. The fruit itself is the testimony. Everything valuable goes through a hidden stage. Gold is refined in fire before it shines. Diamonds are formed under pressure before they sparkle. Trees grow underground roots before they spread branches. The pattern of creation is consistent. Hidden labor produces visible reward. Your preparation season is not punishment, it is process. It is shaping you, molding you, strengthening you for what is coming. Success doesn't need an introduction because results speak for themselves. When the evidence shows up, it silences every critic, it removes every doubt, and it eliminates every argument. People can question your motives, they can question your methods, they can question your journey, but they cannot question the fruit. A life of results is louder than a life of explanation. Too many people spend their energy trying to convince others to believe in them when all they need to do is stay committed to building. The proof will come, and when it does, nobody can deny it. You don't need to tell people how hard you're working when your work is producing fruit. You don't need to explain your dedication when your dedication creates transformation. You don't need to debate about your potential when your results demonstrate it. Results are the universal language everybody understands. They cross culture, they cross opinion, they cross bias. You don't have to defend success because success is its own defense. The problem with talking too much is that words create expectations without delivering proof. People will hold you accountable for promises you never followed through on. That's why talking can feel good in the moment, but leave you embarrassed later. But when you discipline yourself to let your work speak, you never have to backtrack. You never have to scramble to justify what you said because your life becomes the justification. Your actions speak in ways words never could. When a tree produces fruit, it doesn't announce it with noise. It simply bears fruit, and everyone who sees it knows what it is. Nobody argues with an apple tree when they see apples on the branches. The evidence eliminates the debate. In the same way, when your life begins to bear the fruit of discipline, consistency, and growth, nobody can deny what you've become. They might not like it, but they can't refute it. They might criticize your methods, but they can't deny your results. This is why the highest form of persuasion is demonstration. Arguments can be resisted, explanations can be ignored, promises can be doubted, but demonstration cuts through all of that. When you produce undeniable evidence, you don't have to fight for attention or respect. It comes naturally because results command recognition. Even those who dislike you will be forced to acknowledge what you've built. That's why you have to put less emphasis on defending yourself and more emphasis on developing yourself. The more you grow, the less you need to explain. The more you produce, the less you need to persuade. The more you succeed, the less you need to speak. People believe what they can see. People respect what they cannot deny, and results cannot be denied. This doesn't just apply to money or achievements, it applies to every area of life. If you want people to respect your discipline, live with discipline until the results are obvious. If you want people to see your growth, keep growing until they can't ignore it. If you want people to recognize your change, keep changing until your transformation speaks louder than your history. Words can't erase your past, but results can overshadow it. People will remember what you do more than what you say. Results also silence critics in a way no argument ever could. When you argue with critics, you're fighting on their terms. You're trying to prove yourself with words, and they'll always find more words to push back. But when your results show up, the conversation ends. There's nothing left to argue about. Results close mouths. They create respect even in people who refuse to give it willingly. They create credibility that no speech can manufacture. This is why your goal should not be to announce, but to demonstrate. Don't spend your energy trying to be impressive with words. Spend your energy becoming undeniable with results. Don't waste your time convincing others to believe in you. Use your time to build something they can't ignore, because in the end, it's not the announcement that changes the world, it's the fruit. The fruit tells the story. The fruit carries the evidence. The fruit proves the point. Winners don't focus on impressing people. They focus on mastering themselves. When your attention is on how people see you, you lose the power to grow into the version of yourself you're supposed to become. Approval is a moving target, and the moment you chase it, you lose direction. Discipline is steady, consistent, and reliable. It doesn't change with opinions, it doesn't shift with moods, and it doesn't depend on applause. The path to greatness is paved with small, unseen acts of discipline, not flashy moments designed to get attention. Impressing people is temporary, but mastery is permanent. The crowd can be impressed today and forget you tomorrow. People's opinions are fickle, and if you live for their validation, you will also die by their rejection. But when you choose mastery, when you decide to sharpen your skills, develop your mind, and build your character in silence, you create something nobody can take away from you. Mastery outlasts applause. Skill outlasts approval. Character outlasts compliments. The person who focuses on impressing people spends more time creating an image than building substance. They want to look successful instead of becoming successful. They want to appear disciplined instead of being disciplined. They invest energy in appearances, but appearances don't pay dividends. Mastery, on the other hand, requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to distractions, no to shortcuts, no to the temptation of looking good before you are good. Mastery demands that you put in the work when nobody notices, so that when the time comes, your results will testify louder than any image ever could. Discipline is the foundation of mastery. Without discipline, talent goes to waste, opportunities slip away, and potential remains unrealized. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is practicing long after the excitement has worn off. Discipline is choosing consistency over convenience, growth over comfort, and progress over pride. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, and it doesn't impress anyone in the moment. But over time, discipline produces results that make you undeniable. Mastery is not about one big act, it's about 1,000 small acts stacked on top of each other. The daily choices you make in silence build the momentum that shows up in public. Every rep in the gym, every late night of study, every early morning of preparation, every moment you choose practice over distraction, you are laying bricks that form the foundation of mastery. Nobody sees those bricks while you're laying them, but one day everyone will see the structure they created. The ones who win long term are the ones who refuse to cut corners. Cutting corners may impress in the short term, but it always collapses in the long term. A house built on weak foundations can look good from the outside, but when pressure comes, it falls apart. Mastery means you take the time to build solid foundations. You don't rush the process because you know that strength takes time. You don't settle for looking the part because you're committed to becoming the part. The difference between impressing and mastering is that one seeks to be noticed, the other seeks to be excellent. Excellence is its own reward. Excellence doesn't care who's watching because excellence is about becoming your best self. When you live with excellence, you don't need applause because your work carries weight. When you master your craft, recognition will eventually come. But even if it doesn't, you still own the reward of becoming the person you were created to be. The irony is that the people who stop trying to impress others and start focusing on mastery eventually become the most impressive, not because they chased attention, but because they pursued greatness. People are drawn to results, not noise. They respect consistency, not performance. They admire mastery because mastery cannot be faked. When you've put in the hours, the evidence is undeniable. When you've built discipline into your life, it shows in your results. And when your results speak, you don't have to. Every harvest has a season. No matter how much you want to accelerate the process, you cannot force fruit to appear before its time. The soil has to nurture the seed, the roots have to grow strong, the stem has to push upward, and only then does the evidence of growth appear. The same principle applies to your life, your vision, and your goals. Too many people destroy their potential because they try to expose themselves before they are ready. They want recognition before they have preparation, applause before they have foundation, visibility before they have mastery. Exposure too early is dangerous because it invites pressure that you are not equipped to handle. When you try to rush the season, you sabotage your own growth. There is a rhythm to success. And if you respect the rhythm, you thrive. If you fight the rhythm, you collapse. The person who forces harvest before its time ends up frustrated when the fruit is not ripe. They crave the spotlight so much that they ignore the quiet process that is building their strength. They want the branches without the roots. But branches without roots cannot stand when the storms come. That is why waiting for the right time is not a delay, it is protection. The hidden season is designed to shape you, to strengthen you, and to test you before the spotlight arrives. You learn discipline when nobody is clapping. You learn resilience when nobody is watching. You learn endurance when nobody is encouraging. That season doesn't feel glamorous, but it is building something in you that will carry you when the weight of opportunity arrives. If you shortcut the hidden season, you shortcut your strength. The very things that feel uncomfortable are the things preparing you to sustain the blessing. There is also wisdom in silence during this season. Silence gives you space to grow without interference. When you expose your dream too early, you invite voices of doubt, criticism, and negativity that can kill the seed before it takes root. Not everybody can see what you see, and not everybody should be trusted with what you're building. Protect your vision in its fragile state, because when it's strong enough, it will speak for itself. The fruit will reveal the seed. The right time has a way of announcing itself. When you have put in the preparation, when you have been faithful in silence, when you have been consistent in the hidden places, doors begin to open that you didn't have to force. Opportunities come because you are ready, not because you begged for them. The spotlight finds you because you've developed into someone who can handle it. That's the beauty of timing. It doesn't just reveal you, it rewards you. You don't need to worry about being seen if you are committed to being prepared. People chase exposure because they think exposure will make them successful, but exposure only magnifies what you already are. If you are unprepared, exposure magnifies weakness. If you are prepared, exposure magnifies strength. The spotlight doesn't create greatness, it reveals it. That's why it's dangerous to seek it before you've developed yourself. The same light that can showcase fruit can also expose your flaws if you step into it too soon. Patience is not passive. Patience is active faith in the process. Patience is doing the work when the reward is not visible. Patience is showing up every day, even when nobody notices. Patience is trusting that the investment will produce a return at the right time. It's not about sitting back and waiting. It's about engaging fully in the work with confidence that the season will come. That mindset shifts you from desperation to preparation. When the season shifts, you don't have to announce it because the evidence will be undeniable. Just like a tree in bloom announces spring without a word, your life will announce your season of harvest without explanation. Those who doubted you will see it. Those who dismissed you will notice it. And those who believed in you will celebrate it. The right time doesn't need noise. It simply needs readiness. The opportunity will find the person who was willing to grow in silence, endure in patience, and prepare in faith. So don't waste time explaining yourself to doubters. Don't waste breath convincing people who aren't invested in your destiny. Do the work. Stay focused. Keep it quiet. Then one day, when they see the fruit, they won't need your explanation. They'll see your transformation.